Can I keep it?
What do you? Well, you can keep
We're not
it
giving
after the
it
World
back.
Cup.
We're not giving it back. Yes.
And that's why we brought as well this, which is the winner's trophy. It is the trophy that the winner of the FIFA World Cup wins. Only the FIFA president, presidents of countries, and then those who win can touch it, because it's for winners only. And since you are a winner, of course, you can as well touch it. It's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
It's the winner trophy. The last one who lifted that is Lionel Messi of Argentina. And here it is in the Oval Office in the White House.
Can I keep it?
What do you? Well, you can keep
We're
it
not
after
giving
the
it
World Cup.
back. We're not giving it back. That's serious. Oh, that
It fits well.
that goes very well on the wall right over there. We'll put it right below the angel.
So you're part of the FIFA team now, huh?
That's good. That's good.
Yellow cards and red cards.
Yeah.
Yellow card is a warning,
Right?
and when you want to kick out someone, like this.
That's true. That's true. Right?
Every World Cup promises glory, unity, and unforgettable moments. But FIFA 2026 could be remembered more for politics than play. Immigration crackdowns, restrictive policies, and controversy off the pitch dominating the conversation, instead of the football itself. We'll show exactly how U.S. visa rules, a new $250 fee, and enforcement risks could hollow out stadiums, and why Canada and Mexico might step in. For the first time in history, the world's biggest sporting event could see fans, players, and even whole nations shut out. And it all starts with closed borders. Immigration barriers that could empty stadiums. Immigration hurdles are already reshaping what the 2026 tournament might look like from the stands. The U.S. administration has issued travel proclamations that block entry for nationals from 12 countries and impose partial restrictions on several others. While there are exemptions written into the policy for athletes, certain staff, and events at the discretion of the Secretary of State, for ordinary supporters, this still means whole groups of fans face extraordinary barriers before the matches even begin. For countries that normally send thousands abroad to World Cups, a trip to the U.S. is now tangled in restrictions that make attendance feel less like a celebration and more like a distant hope. Empty sections in stadiums are a very real possibility when large groups can't get clearance. The visa process adds another obstacle. Some U.S. consular posts are reporting appointment backlogs stretching into many months. In specific posts, wait times have crossed 300 days, long enough that a fan applying in mid-2025 could still be waiting as the opening match kicks off the following summer. That uncertainty turns purchased tickets and booked hotels into risks instead of plans. Imagine securing the trip of a lifetime only to spend the group stage refreshing a consulate calendar. For a competition that thrives on atmosphere, seeing fan groups stranded abroad because their paperwork didn't clear undermines the entire spectacle. The situation goes beyond visitors. Inside the U.S., immigrant communities surrounding key host cities are already feeling the pressure. There are documented ICE operations and highly visible anti-ICE protests in cities like New York, Los Angeles, and Houston. All of them host sites in 2026. Rights groups warn that this climate creates a chilling effect. Even if no enforcement action takes place at a stadium, the sense of risk alone could deter local supporters from showing up. The people who usually fill streets with music and color may choose to stay away, leaving muted celebrations in neighborhoods that once would have been central to the World Cup experience. Then comes the financial barrier. Congress passed a new visa integrity fee set at a minimum of $250 for most non-immigrant visa categories. On paper, the law allows reimbursement if certain visa conditions are met, but implementation details and the refund mechanism are still unclear. Experts already say the process will be cumbersome, effectively making the fee an upfront cost. For supporters from South America, Africa, or Asia, regions where flights and lodging already stretch budgets, that extra upfront charge could tip the trip from possible to out of reach. Instead of the broad mix of nations we expect at a World Cup, the stands could tilt toward wealthier fans and corporate guests, reshaping the culture of the tournament. Meanwhile, Canada offers a striking contrast. Its visa approval rate hovers above 90%. The wait times are significantly shorter, and its process is clearer and less expensive. For supporters comparing options, the pathway north looks more open. That difference matters because when fans can't access one host country but find the door wide open in another, the energy of the tournament shifts accordingly. In this joint hosting agreement, Canada's image is one of accessibility, while the US risks looking suspicious and unwelcoming. The friction becomes even sharper when considering FIFA's own rules. The organization explicitly requires that host nations guarantee entry for ticket holders. That clause isn't an optional suggestion, it's a cornerstone of the hosting agreement. If U.S. immigration policy continues creating denials and mountains of delays, FIFA faces a direct contradiction. How can the event promise universal access when the host nation's policies restrict it? Pressure is already mounting within FIFA circles to address this gap before the spotlight is on. Sponsors have noticed as well. Emirates has redirected $15 million in projected ad spending north to Canada, and Visa has started reshaping activations to focus more heavily on matches played outside the United States. For corporations paying billions for visibility, empty seats and muted crowds make the investment less attractive. This commercial response underscores the warning. The atmosphere inside stadiums is not just about passion, it's about perception, and companies are adjusting early. There's also a procedural time bomb hiding inside FIFA's host agreement. One clause gives the organization a 90-day window to reassign matches if the access guarantee cannot be met. That technical detail hasn't been tested in modern tournaments, but if invoked, games could be shifted north or south at very short notice. The larger point here is simple. Immigration barriers, from bans to backlogs to fees, are not just abstract policies. They could reshape the very crowds, images, and rhythms of the next World Cup. And when that happens, it adds another chapter to a much longer story about politics and football colliding on the global stage. When FIFA's past scandals meet 2026, when you look ahead to 2026, it's impossible to ignore how FIFA's history of scandal and controversy still shapes the perception of every tournament it oversees. Past World Cups have shown that football rarely exists in isolation. And the same traps keep reappearing whenever politics, money, or rights concerns overwhelm the play on the pitch. Take Qatar 2022. It was the most expensive World Cup ever, carrying a reported cost of more than $200 billion. But expense alone wasn't the headline. From the start, the bidding process was dogged by corruption allegations. Once Qatar secured hosting rights, reports of migrant worker conditions dominated global coverage. Human rights groups documented deaths, wage abuses, and unsafe environments tied directly to the massive stadium builds and infrastructure projects. Now compare that with what happened on U.S. soil just recently. The 2025 Club World Cup was supposed to serve as a smaller test drive for the World Cup the following year. Rather than showcasing sport, the closing ceremony became loaded with politics. Donald Trump turned the trophy handover into a campaign-style spectacle. His remarks dominated headlines, eclipsing the players and the football itself. Fans and media spoke more about the politics on stage than the competition they had been watching. That pattern isn't new, but the details matter. When inspection requests are deflected, it feeds a perception that transparency and accountability take a back seat to construction deadlines. Canada and Mexico's rising role in the World Cup regional co-hosts aren't just filling in support roles. They're quickly becoming central to how this tournament might actually succeed. Canada and Mexico were never meant to be symbolic additions in the 2026 bid. Both bring structural strengths, and with escalating questions around the U.S., those strengths now look like essential safeguards for FIFA and its partners. Start with Canada. Its organizers already project that hosting 13 matches could generate about $3.8 billion in total economic output across the country, including a $2 billion lift to GDP, $1.3 billion in labor income, and nearly $700 million in government revenue, supporting over 24,000 jobs. That level of impact explains why the Canadian government and private sector are investing heavily. Toronto's BMO field is being expanded to roughly 45,700 seats, while Vancouver's BC Place, a 54,500 capacity stadium with a retractable roof, offers modern capacity that's broadcast ready. Add in Canada's relatively fast visa approvals and high acceptance rates, and fans have a clearer pathway into stadiums compared to the delays and fees facing them in the United States. The economic advantage has not gone unnoticed by sponsors. Emirates, for instance, shifted $15 million of its planned North American campaign budget over to Canada. Visa is redirecting major activations to Toronto instead of relying primarily on U.S. venues. Mexico, meanwhile, provides reliability rooted in football tradition. Mexico City's Estadio Azteca, which will host the opening match in 2026, has already staged 2 World Cup finals and remains one of the sport's most iconic venues. Monterrey and Guadalajara will also host matches, with both cities boasting stadiums tested on the world stage. The energy in Mexican stadiums doesn't depend on foreign fan inflows alone. Local culture, street celebrations, and historic passion ensure full seats and vibrant broadcasts regardless of the matchup. That stability contrasts with U.S. uncertainty, and it reassures both FIFA and broadcasters that the atmosphere won't be an issue south of the border. Overlaying all of this is FIFA's own operational safeguard. The hosting contracts allow the organization to reassign fixtures within 90 days if a host nation cannot guarantee access for fans or participants. This isn't theory. It's a built-in clause designed for emergencies. The presence of that clause changes the calculus. Canada and Mexico aren't simply alternative backdrops. They're practical destinations for matches. If denied visas, long delays, or political disputes make U.S. fixtures untenable. Sponsors and organizers can point directly to FIFA's rules to justify pressure for shifting games north or south. The argument is not only logistical but financial. Canadian venues with expanded capacity mean packed seats translating into higher local economic output. Mexico's broadcast-ready culture ensures that television partners get the footage that maximizes sponsorship value. Together, those options preserve the tournament's marketability, which is ultimately FIFA's top concern. The reassignment of matches, if it happens, wouldn't be about symbolism, but about protecting revenue streams and ensuring the tournament looks as global and inclusive as it claims to be. This is why discussions around Canada and Mexico's readiness have shifted from background context to urgent leverage points. If U.S. access problems persist, the combination of FIFA's 90-day clause, shifting sponsor investments, and Canada and Mexico's proven infrastructure makes diverting matches not just possible, but logical. And that possibility raises the most uncomfortable question yet. What happens when a World Cup designed to unite instead becomes defined by political barriers and reassignments? Conclusion. The World Cup is often described as a unifying spectacle, but for 2026, the biggest story may hinge on policies and access. Instead of debating tactics and goals, the focus could shift to whether fans are even allowed inside, and whether FIFA enforces the guarantees it demands from every host. FIFA can either enforce its access requirement and push for U.S. policy fixes, or invoke its contractual power to move games to Canada or Mexico. Both choices carry political and economic consequences. That decision will shape not just the matches, but how the event is remembered globally. Tell us, should FIFA move matches to guarantee access, or should the U.S. be forced to fix its policy? Explain why in the comments. The larger point here is simple. Immigration barriers, from bans to backlogs to fees, are not just abstract policies. They could reshape the very crowds, images, and rhythms of the next World Cup. And when that happens, it adds another chapter to a much longer story about politics and football colliding on the global stage.